They were once allies, united by a vision of a stronger Africa. Muammar Gaddafi, Robert Mugabe, and Yoweri Museveni. In a world of politics, loyalty is often an illusion. As the years passed, Museveni made a choice that would change everything, turning his back on the very leaders that once supported him. Was it strategy or pure betrayal? Hi guys, welcome to Afriverse Historic. On today's episode, we explore the untold story of how Museveni, the president of Uganda, betrayed Gaddafi and Mugabe. Do stay tuned and enjoy the ride. Uganda's dictator of 35 years in power, General Yoweri Museveni, likes accusing leading presidential challenger Bobi Wine of being a Western tool. Yet, WikiLeaks documents show that Museveni has always been very close to the US, that he even betrayed Libya's Gaddafi and Zimbabwe's Robert Mugabe to the Americans. The documents also undermine Museveni's public claims that he is a Pan-African nationalist. In private, he has behaved like the African turncoats in the mode of Mobutu and Moise Tshombe, both of whom famously betrayed Patrice Lumumba and had him murdered in 1961. 3 years after Museveni told US Assistant Secretary for State for Africa, Gendayi Fraser, that Gaddafi was a problem for Africa because he wanted to unite the continent under one president, the US and NATO eliminated the problem by invading Libya and killing Gaddafi in 2011.
Yes, we came, we saw, he died.
In addition to betraying Gaddafi to the US, even though the Libyan had provided millions of dollars to his regime and even supplied him with both weapons while he was fighting for power in Uganda, Museveni also allegedly told the Americans the best way to undermine Mugabe was to attack him on his own country's economic performance. The WikiLeaks documents are the strongest indication that General Museveni was possibly a CIA agent who ratted out other African leaders, much like Congolese dictator Mobutu did from 1960 to 1997 when he was deposed. Mobutu became a CIA agent in 1959, 1 year before Congo's independence from Belgium. The US backed him for 37 years. Museveni also asked the United States to provide him with international airspace protection during his overseas travels to prevent Gaddafi from having his plane shot down, the documents show. President Museveni said Libyan President Gaddafi is a problem for the continent and is pushing for the creation of a United States of Africa to be governed by one president. Museveni thought Gaddafi's plan is neither feasible or desirable, given cultural and linguistic differences across the continent. Rather than the development of a unitary African state, Museveni said he is pushing Gaddafi and other African leaders to develop regional political federations and markets that support common objectives, the WikiLeaks document states. Hey guys, I really appreciate it if you take us some time to like this video and subscribe to the channel, as it goes a long way in supporting our efforts. Thank you. Now let's get back to the video. Museveni, who is famous for traveling around Uganda with brown bags stuffed with cash to buy votes and political and religious leaders, also complained to Fraser that Gaddafi continues to intimidate small African countries through bribes and other pressure. As a result of Libya's actions, small West African countries have been afraid to participate fully or speak out during international meetings at the United Nations, African Union, and other forums. Museveni noted that tensions with Gaddafi are growing as a result, and he worried that Gaddafi would attack his plane while flying over international airspace, the WikiLeaks documents added. Museveni also told Assistant Secretary Fraser that he did spoken with Mugabe over the phone after the 2008 election, when challenger Morgan Tsvangirai won 48.8% to Mugabe's 43.2%, forcing him into a runoff, which the challenger abandoned, citing regime violence. During his call, Mugabe allegedly told Museveni he was confident he would win in the second round of elections. Mugabe told Museveni he did not want election monitors from countries that were hostile to Mugabe, but wouldn't mind observers from other countries, the WikiLeaks document continued. Fraser told Museveni that she believed thousands of monitors were necessary, especially in rural areas, to encourage people to vote in Zimbabwe. So, the Ugandan dictator was discussing the possibility of sending thousands of monitors to Zimbabwe, while he himself continues to oppose them in Uganda, including the January 14, 2021 vote, when many political observers predicted he would likely lose in a landslide to challenger Bobi Wine. Museveni also had another suggestion for the US about how to undermine Mugabe's government. Museveni thought Zimbabwe's faltering economy and Mugabe's poor understanding of the private sector were the root of Zimbabwe's political problems, the WikiLeaks document said. He said a discussion of the economy would provide an entry point to tell Mugabe that he has failed and is embarrassing liberation leaders. He noted that Mugabe is unwilling to take calls from most African leaders, saying that they were not his age mates. The meeting between Uganda's dictator and Assistant Secretary of State Fraser occurred on June 13, 2028 in Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. Mugabe had gone there to attend the graduation of his son, Muhoozi Kainerugaba, from the US Military Command and General Staff College. Kainerugaba is today the regime's leading human rights abuser, commanding the notorious Special Forces Command, SFC. The SFC has been responsible for attacks on and killing of unarmed Ugandan citizens. It was also involved in the 2018 attack that led to the brutal beating and torture of Bobi Wine. Yoweri Kaguta Museveni Tibuhaburwa, born on 15 September 1944, is a Ugandan politician and military officer who is the 9th and current president of Uganda since 1986. As of 2025, he is the third longest consecutively serving current non-royal national leader of the world, after Teodoro Obiang Nguema Mbasogo in Equatorial Guinea and Paul Biya in Cameroon. Museveni was born to cattle herders and attended missionary schools. While studying political science and economics at the University of Dar es Salaam in 1970 in Tanzania, he became chairman of the leftist student group allied with African Liberation Movement. When Idi Amin came to power in Uganda in 1971, Museveni returned to Tanzania in exile. There, he found the Front for National Salvation, which helped overthrow Amin in 1979. Museveni held posts in the transitional government and in 1980 ran for president of Uganda. When the elections, widely believed to have been rigged, were won by Milton Obote, Museveni and former President Yusuf Lule formed the National Resistance Movement, NRM. Museveni led the NRM armed group and National Resistance Army, which waged guerrilla war against Obote's regime. The resistance eventually prevailed, and on January 26, 1986, Museveni declared himself President of Uganda. He was elected to the post on May 9, 1996, and his backers won control of the National Assembly in legislative elections held the following month. Museveni was re-elected in 2001 and again in 2006, after a constitutional amendment passed the previous year had eliminated presidential limits for presidency. He was re-elected again in 2011 and 2016, although the opposition and international observers noted problems with the polling process in both elections. A constitutional amendment passed in 2017 removed the age limits for presidential candidates that had been set at the age of 75, while also reimposing a limit of 2 terms, clearing the way for an aging Museveni to stand for the next 2 presidential elections. He was re-elected in 2021, but the campaign period prior to the polls was criticized as being repressive. As president, Museveni helped revitalize the country, providing political stability, a growing economy, and an improved infrastructure. He instituted a number of capitalist reforms and supported a free press. Although Museveni initially rejected multi-party democracy, arguing that it would degenerate into tribal politics in a poor African country, he accepted the results of 2025 referendum that overwhelmingly supported the return of multi-party politics. The next year, the country held its first multi-party elections since 1980. Museveni also implemented measures to combat AIDS. Uganda, in fact, is one of the first African countries to have success battling the illness. Corruption, however, was an issue in Uganda under Museveni. Over the years, foreign and domestic support for Museveni waned in some quarters, corruption being cited as one of the problems. Museveni's growing intolerance with dissenting views was another commonly cited criticism. As he continued to cling to power, there were increasing reports of opposition figures and their supporters being harassed, detained, and even abducted. He also came under fire with his lack of success of eliminating the Lord's Resistance Army (LRA), a militia led by Joseph Kony that terrorized northern Uganda for decades. Although the LRA was largely forced out of the country, the group continued to commit atrocities in neighboring countries. In his foreign policy, Museveni often generated controversy by supporting rebels in other African countries. He backed Laurent Kabila, who deposed Mobutu Sese Seko in neighboring Zaire, now the Democratic Republic of the Congo, in 1997, the Tutsi exiles who were fighting against the government of Rwanda, and a group headed by one of his former schoolmates, battling the Islamic fundamentalist rulers of Sudan. Museveni justified his support of the rebels by stating that his goal was to achieve regional integration in both politics and economics, and that the downfall of corrupt regimes was necessary to bring about such a union. He garnered praise for contributing troops to the African Union's force in Somalia, but elicited some criticisms for supporting the government of South Sudan in the civil war that erupted in that country in late 2013. Museveni came under fire for not relinquishing power, which was ironic, given that in his early political career, he had complained about leaders who overstayed in their time in power. Although he had won re-election multiple times, his victories were tainted by allegations of voting irregularities. Critics also took issue with the rising profile of his son, Lieutenant General Museveni Kainerugaba, and accused Museveni of grooming his son to be his successor. Thanks for watching this video, guys. I would really love to know your thoughts about the alleged betrayal of Museveni and its impact on Africa. Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Don't forget to smash a like and subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification button to get more content like this about African history. This is Nnamdi from Afriverse Story. See you in the next video.